Hey, y'all, thanks again for listening to Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Podcast. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review. You can follow me at Drew Tessier NYC. And if you want to see it live, you can watch this on YouTube.
It's Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Show. Let's talk, y'all.
Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Podcast. I am here with Jack Sullivan. Now, Jack was a finalist in this year's New York Queer Comedy Festival. Been doing comedy for a little while now, but really within, I would say the last almost couple months. Your social media has really started taking off and whatnot, which we will circle back to. When did you first start doing stand-up comedy?
The first time I did stand-up comedy was in June 2022.
Okay.
I did...
That math makes more sense.
I did the Industry Room then, and then, did the Broadway Greenwich circuit. And yeah, right before I did the Industry Room, I did your mic at Greenwich Village Comedy Club. Yeah, so I've come up really through that family.
Now, did you have a performance background before getting into stand-up?
No, not at all. So I've always loved attention.
Sure.
But junior year of high school, I got drunk at a country concert and then was grounded from that. So I had to do like a summer showcase at the local theater with like theater kids.
That was your punishment?
Well, it was more like you're grounded and you need to find an internship.
Okay.
And my brother did theater, and I saw that. I always wanted to be like a pop star, but unfortunately, I'm not a gifted vocalist.
So your brother's older, I assume, then?
No, my brother is 5.5 years younger than I am.
And he's a theater kid?
He was a theater kid, yeah.
Is he gay?
Yes, both my siblings are gay.
Wild.
Or LGBTQ.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my sister, so I'm the oldest of three. I came out the latest.
Interesting.
Yeah, my sister is getting married next month in Miami. So to her fiance, Amanda. And yeah, we have a huge wedding. It's going to be super fun. But my brother came out when he was like 16.
Wild.
Yeah. I like, and I've told Tim this, like I really admire him because at that age, like I was so far from coming out and hated myself so much. So like, the fact that he was just like, fuck all of you.
So now we have a mutual friend that you went to college, because you went to Brown, right?
I did.
So what did you study at Brown?
Political science.
And then Gabe Gonzalez, who's a comic, very, very funny comic, knew you because you did a Jack and Friends show at Greenwich.
My first show was also, all my comedy first are Drew or Drew adjacent. Yeah, my first show as a co-producer was the Jack and Friends with Gabe as the headliner.
And so you knew each other at school, but you weren't in performance circles at Brown?
No, not at all. At Brown, I was very much like a frat boy, because Brown doesn't have a big frat scene. Is not known for its fraternities, but I joined like the one kind of standard.
What fraternity were you in?
Sigma Chi.
Oh, my brother's a Sigma Chi.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think he was more disappointed that I was not a Sigma Chi when I went to school than when I came out.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, well, he's 8 years older than me, and he loved Greek life and was all about it. And in the South,
right.
It's a big deal. I was a theater major, so if it weren't for theater, I don't know if I would have stayed in school. I don't know if I would have stayed at Auburn, because I just sort of lived in the microcosm of the theater the whole time I was there. But, if you're not Greek, Auburn less so than University of Alabama, it's hard to sort of, find friendship groups and whatnot there.
Right.
Sigma Chi, wow.
I know, and Brown is the opposite, right? Like Greek life is almost looked down on by.
I'm sure even more now than ever. But
most people, yeah. But and just culture-wise, like my senior year, we instituted this thing, we called it Brown State. Mm-hmm. Like no one went to the Brown football games. Brown football's not a thing.
Yeah, you had a very different college experience than
But like once a year, they had a night game in the stadium. So we would all go and tailgate and we made shirts that were like Brown State University, right? So we were like having a normal college experience. But no, it was interesting. Going to Brown for me subconsciously, and I've realized this a lot more over the years. I like it was a very easy place for me to hide and be straight. Like if you put me in Auburn, like no way am I dating girls
passable
and
Sigma Chi.
right. Yeah, I remember I toured like Wake Forest in my college tours, and I look back and I was like, oh, I loved it. And I look back, I'm like, if you put me there then, put me there now, like it would be fine. Put me there then, like I with my bowl cut and my frosted tips. Yeah, going to a very very liberal school meant I was relatively straight comparatively.
Where did you grow up?
DC.
Okay, because your dad's in politics.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, he's in
The
public
political
service.
world.
Yeah. But like, he's never run for office, but
Right,
he's
right.
held.
Was he military or?
No, we love the military. A lot of respect for the military. But he was a lawyer, so he went to law school and clerked for Supreme Court Justice
Gotcha.
Souter.
Okay.
And then works at the Justice Department in the H.W. Bush administration. Worked in the Defense Department. I was Deputy General Counsel for Bush, and then was Deputy Secretary of Commerce for Bush, and then for Trump he was Deputy Secretary of State for Tillerson, and then he was acting Secretary of State between Tillerson and Pompeo. Then became ambassador to Russia, just in time for all of this fun that we're having. So yeah, he went over to Russia in January 2020, and retired in fall of 22 when my mom unfortunately passed.
Oh.
But so he was there for like the invasion and all of that.
Did you ever go to Russia while he was there?
Yes, I was there for about 3 days and 2 hours and maybe 20 minutes. Beautiful place.
Sure.
A lot of history. I mean, the most insanely repressed environment I could imagine being in. Because, like, we had people following us. Because my mom and I just, like, went out and, like, walked around. And we had the same people, like, following us
Yeah.
everywhere we went. And we didn't even bring our laptops. Like, we were going other places in Europe, didn't even bring our laptops. And for our phones, like, from when you were wheels up from a different country, you don't turn on your phone until you're back in that
Yeah.
country.
So I mean, obviously, your parents or your dad, worked in conservative administrations. How was your parents' support with having not one but 3 gay children growing up?
Yes.
I mean, I know you said you came out later, but still, I mean.
Yeah. My parents' support was really, it was great, kind of across the board throughout, for all of my siblings. And the older I get, and the more I look back, the more I realize how remarkable that is. I mean, it's not one of those like Hallmark movies where you have Jennifer Coolidge as your mom, like, go have sex with men.
Yeah.
I'm like the only gay comedian who doesn't do a Jennifer Coolidge impression. But they were very supportive, and I mean, because like being a Republican also is very different than being like a Trump.
No, I get. Listen, my
MAGA
parents
person.
are conservative, and they're not MAGA people. But I mean, my dad also wasn't, Deputy Secretary of State. But
And I will say, my dad, he's one of 2 people that Biden kept.
awesome.
So he was ambassador to Russia for Biden and in the Biden administration. So yeah, just to give you a sense of his, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. So you started doing stand-up comedy. When, when did the social media thing start to sort of take off for you?
When I realized that like people find you from your reels, because I would only post, I would post like stand-up clips as reels. maybe two a month or so. Um, and then I had one kind of go, you know, start to get a lot of views and follows from that in October, talking about my favorite subject, Christina Aguilera. She's no one's favorite subject. But and then I started doing our friend Hilberto.
Sure.
I saw how he, built his TikTok just with his, walking around with your phone like this. So then I started doing that probably just 3 months ago, in like the end of December.
Hilberto Soto, who's another queer comic here in New York, has been a finalist for the festival as well. Very, very funny.
Yes, he's like you, he's very much a shepherd for me. Shepherd?
Sure.
Mentor, yeah. But it's so addictive when like certain videos start doing really well, and then when they don't, right, I take them down.
So you've had one video in particular. So we just recently had the finals for the New York Queer Comedy Festival. You were a final, and one of your clips from that, you're comparing, or you're talking about sort of well, you can tell it better. So what is the bit that?
Yeah, and you know what's funny? It's a bit that I had posted already, but that kind of was swept. I went private for like a week, which you should never do as a comedian, and it kind of didn't get a lot of traction. But I talk about my ex-girlfriends and how one actually became a nun. So then I just have some double entendres about how nuns are like gays. But in that, I always point at the crowd and say, people call us sister, it was like the throwaway opening one. Then I point, I'm like, hey, sis. And then I was genuinely shocked to see a straight white
Right.
front and center. So, but yeah, it like took off
Over a
immediately.
million views so far, right? Or,
Yeah, it has something like 1.3 now.
Yeah, wild. And it's one that's collaborated with the festival page, so I'm seeing all the likes still coming through on that. It was very funny. Did you really have a girlfriend that became a nun? Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, but in high school, and like I went to an all boys Catholic school for high school.
All right.
And she went to a Catholic school. And yeah, I mean, we dated for what was at the time, it was like 2 years, right? We dated for maybe 6 weeks. But in high school, that's like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started dating one of her best friends, which was quite the hoopla. Yeah, I realized when you're like a closet gay, you love stirring up shit that makes people be like, oh, Jack is straight with these girlfriends.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't do a whole lot of. Now, I also don't feel like I hid anything. I mean, when I was in high school, but the idea of coming out in high school never crossed my mind. I never saw that as a reality. There wasn't a part of my brain thinking like, God, I'm just so suffering because I can't come out and be my true self. I'd never seen a gay high school person. I didn't know what that looked like. So there wasn't like, even if I could admit to myself that this may not pass, that this may be these feelings, these whatevers. It never crossed my mind to actually be out. But I didn't. I mean, I had girlfriends that I would take to prom and girls club dance and stuff like that, but never really a serious girlfriend. But I did have a situation in high school where a friend of mine had been dating a mutual friend for a while. They broke up, and then I sort of, not understanding anything about straight mechanics or whatever, sort of tried to swoop in and date her. So there is sort of this weird moment in my history where I'm sort of fighting over a girl with another guy,
Oh, yeah.
which is so cringy to look back on.
I know.
All the way around.
I know. There's so much just cringeworthy behavior, and it's because you're, as a gay person who's not out and who's repressed, right? You have the emotional maturity of like a toddler,
Right.
To no fault of your own or
right.
of our own. And then you're supposed to be in these like dating situations, and obviously I was just a tornado of destruction.
Did you play sports or anything when you were in high school?
Yes, but yes, I played hockey for 20 years.
Oh, all right.
And I always played on like a club team outside of school, so all my time was spent playing hockey. I mean, I was basically on autopilot for a really long time. So that's why things like these, acting out in these situations with girls or whatever, was kind of just like almost screaming for help or just screaming to express myself. So I played hockey. I was on JV, and we did have the best team in the state, but I was on JV from freshman through junior year. And then I played JV tennis my sophomore and junior, and we had a great tennis team. So I was never like an athletic superstar, but I was always playing sports.
When did, because you talk, actually, do you discuss your sobriety in your jokes at all? Do you ever bring that up into your material?
I started to. Really this past month I'm working on some stuff about it.
Because you're very into AA. You're very,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I first got sober like 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
Been some speed bumps, but really pretty much every day except for, a few handfuls for the last 4.5 years have been sober, very involved in AA. I mean, AA saved my life. And I resisted it for a long time when I got sober too. But because I was
So
like,
so you started sort of white knuckling sobriety on your own before you got into a program?
well, so I went to like treatment.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, oh, I don't need to go to AA every day. Like, I'm already better. I'm fixed.
Right.
Which, like, spoiler alert, you're not. um, and then, I had a few stumbles, and I was like, well, the way to do this, the only way I've seen this work and stick for people, and at least in my personal experience, was AA. And now, actually, my brother's sober, and yeah, he doesn't do the program, but he has like a year. He's gonna have like a year and a half, which is so nice.
Where does he live?
DC.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So is he sort of going into that track as well?
Yeah, and he's. I mean, we're very different, but he's grown up a lot faster out of college than I did. Right, like when I was his age, he's 28, 27. He's 27 because I'm turning 33 this month. Yeah, when I was his age, I was a disaster.
Do you ever go to the Rainbow Room in Midtown? So the Rainbow is, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not in the program, but from what I understand, there's a gay AA group in Midtown that's almost entirely actors and performers and whatnot.
I went there. The first meeting I ever went to, before any treatment or anything, I went there, and I have not. And to no fault of anyone there, I've not been back since. So I think it's performers, but it's also Times Square.
Right.
So it's also a little bit like, Broadway Comedy Club, and that like whoever's in Times Square, which is literally any type of person.
I've always been fascinated with the idea of the Rainbow Room because I had a friend that had started doing the program, went to that particular group, came back and was like, oh my God, it's just like an open mic, because it's all performers and everybody's got their 5 minutes and everybody's kind of got their shtick. I mean, like I remember one particular joke that I remember from him saying is, this guy was saying, I used to go to Fire Island and people were like, people are talking about you. And then after a while I was going to Fire Island, people were like, people are talking about you. And so I sort of had that memory in my mind. Then one of the years of the festival, I'm standing next to that person who had told me about the Rainbow Room, and there was somebody on stage who did very well in the festival, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's one of the stars of the Rainbow Room."
Really?
Yeah, and that particular guy had not done. He had a performance background, but had not done a lot of stand-up comedy before coming into the festival, and I think was working his material at AA meetings.
Yes. So I never do that. Well, because then that like, I never do that because one, I did not know this about the Rainbow Room, but I like to deflect with humor a lot.
Right.
So like, and I'm still working on that. So for, sobriety related stuff, I'm working on just like cutting the bullshit. But I will say, years of sharing in AA meetings and just sobriety in general. Like when I got sober, I could not talk in front of people. Or, it would make me beyond anxious. I'd, have to drink, have to whatever. But, thanks to sobriety, one, just in like how comfortable it makes you with yourself, but two, like you're sharing a lot of extremely vulnerable things to sometimes hundreds of strangers.
Right.
So that definitely helps a lot with stand up. And like I could not do stand up or post this crazy shit content, not crazy shit, content on the internet, right, without it.
So what has it been like sort of making the transition from dating while you were still using versus dating sober? I mean, are you still on the apps? Is there a different process?
Oh yeah, I
Because
mean,
also you're not supposed to meet people in the program either, so it's sort of hard to.
yeah, I mean you can meet. I mean, you're totally allowed to as long as they're not like counting days.
Right, right, right. Gotcha.
That is very bad, but I tend to avoid dating people in sobriety for the most part. There are a few exceptions, and they've been fun. But dating, I'm on the apps, and typically I prefer to date people, who are not alcoholics and addicts, but are just, normal people like yourself. Okay.
I'm taken. Thank you.
Oh, well, yeah. I just meant that you're not
kidding.
an alcoholic or addict, which is also a joke. No, I'm kidding. But no, I like. I'm open to dating people in sobriety. I'm open to dating people like who don't drink, but I'm a very emotionally unavailable person, and I'm still working on that. As much as I joke about that, so
Have there been any long-term boyfriend situations?
6. Oh my God, 8 years ago.
Wow.
I said 6 years ago. 6 years ago was my last relationship, and it was like 3 months, and that's the guy who went cuckoo, or was cuckoo. They don't go cuckoo. And yeah, would make up all the email addresses and lost his shit and was emotionally abusive. Before that, I had a really nice 8-month relationship with this guy named Bobby, and he's so sweet, and we're still great friends. But yeah, I mean, that was another lifetime almost. But yeah, in sobriety, I have not dated anyone for like long periods of time. But yeah, one day.
I see the comments, whenever you post things, especially
comments.
when we share,
Right.
an Instagram post or a reel or whatever, and there are a ton of like, hey daddy, what's up? Let's,
Yeah.
I'm DM me. I mean, how often are you getting hit on? I mean, are you getting DMs from people seeing your comedy?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure not like Jeremy, right?
Who knows? Jeremy Crittenden, who's I'm also have
Yeah.
had on my show as well.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to plug all of them. Well, the thing I'll say is a lot of the comments, I love all of them. So, well, I love all of them, even the good or the bad ones, equally great, right? Because if they're bad, often that
At
will
least they're
drive more
talking, I guess.
engagement.
Right.
Right. The algorithm doesn't care. But yes, but the thing about social media and building a following is like people are from all over
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah, and so I've noticed, particularly with yours, that a lot of them are not Americans that are liking
All over
it.
the world.
Yeah.
And it's wild, and I've started to like go. I went live once last week, or 2 weeks ago. And it's wild to see, people in the UK, a lot of people in like India, South America, Southeast Asia, throughout Europe. And that's all. I mean, that is very cool.
Have you ever met up with anyone local that saw you through a video and was like, "Let's do this"?
I'm trying to think. I've definitely met people at my shows.
Okay.
Yes. Or at show. Yeah. Well, because like a lot of people, come to one of the queer comedy festival shows, either to support someone else or
Right.
just because they want to see queer comedy, right? And then they know you from that.
Have you gotten recognized yet at like a Starbucks line or anything?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I did the summer before, or no, last summer. I got the first time because it happens at the gym sometimes, but that like is less surprising because they, probably saw you on other apps. I've been off Grinder for 6 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
like so is that all apps, or you've just been off Grinder and
Like the sex
so you could
apps.
focus more on sniffies?
No, I actually sniffies and gambling are the two things I've never let myself do because I know that won't lead anywhere good.
Right.
But someone recognized me at the Britney Spears musical, and I was like, "Wow, the algorithm's working on you." Right, because Britney and me, I love Britney Spears. The musical was terrible.
Tell
Yeah.
me. So actually, that's a good sort of. I was about to bounce into something anyway, because you do love pop music. You talk a lot about. You're a big Beyonce fan.
Love her.
How many times did you see the Renaissance tour? Just the one time, or was it?
I saw it 3 times.
Okay, I thought there was a lot of investment in
Oh,
Beyonce.
Yeah. And Brittany got a lot of investment over the years as well. But I've always been a huge music person. And, like, there is some country that I love. I love Carrie Underwood. I've seen Carrie 3 times. And I went to her book sign. Yeah, I love her. But, because Drew's, a country man. But I went 3 times because during the pandemic, I'd always gone to a lot of concerts, but I'd sit in the rafters, whatever. And going into the pandemic, like I had an alcohol and drug problem, and I'm like, wait, like all of this music that I love and that I'm obsessed with, like these people are getting older. This all can get shut down at any moment. Like if and when my favorite artists go on tour, like I'm going and I'm going in the front.
What do you think of Country Carter?
I think she will win Album of the Year.
Oh,
But I respect it so much. I think it's objectively great. But I'm like
Not for you.
I'm like a shake my ass Beyonce kind of
interesting.
guy.
So I'm sort of late to the hive.
Yeah.
I was not a Destiny's Child fan. I don't
love
listen. I
Destiny's
don't
Child.
listen to a lot of pop music, so
Right.
it's overly poppy music. My boyfriend he started playing Renaissance a ton and it's
I love Renaissance.
phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean, just start to finish. I easily at this point probably one of my top 5 favorite albums ever. I mean, just really love the album. Loved the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of wish we would have bit the bullet and seen especially after seeing the movie.
Yeah.
I really wish we would have seen the concert.
Yeah.
I want to see Cowboy Carter if she tours with it, or I assume she will.
Rumor has it she's going to do the Sphere in Las Vegas.
I've heard that rumor as well. I would love to see that. We had kind of we had gone home to my parents' house in Alabama for Easter. I know that sentence just gets worse and worse as it goes forward. But so Cowboy Carter dropped while we were down there. And it's so funny because
Oh yeah, it came out on Good Friday.
it came out on Good Friday, right? So we get to Alabama, and Aiden says, "Hey, do you think there's going to be a gay bar anywhere around here that's going to have an album release party?" And I said, "No." But I mean, just for fun's sake, I will Google and find out. And so I Google gay bar in nearby.
Yeah.
Or not even Google. I typed into maps. Nothing comes up except for this male only clothing optional campground called, are you ready for it? Camp Out. Where has that been my entire life? Just, I mean, what a brilliant name for a gay campground. Just right there. And it's like 20 minutes from my parents' house in Alabama. And I was like, what the fuck? We are going to see what this is all about. So we went and we drove the
Did you camp?
I'm an Eagle Scout.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't talk about that.
Uh,
do you? No, you do.
I do a little bit.
You were,
and,
because you were a
yeah.
scoutmaster and an altar boy.
And well, I'm actually on the. I don't know if you know about the huge class action lawsuit going on with Boy Scouts of America right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually on the advisory board for that.
For the lawsuit?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you not talk about that?
I can talk about it, but yeah, I was abused as a kid. So as a scoutmaster as well as my pediatrician. So I'm a part of the. My case is an interesting one though, because I actually came forward when it happened. He went to jail, so it was sort of an open book. So
Oh,
that's why
wow.
they were interested in my case specifically, because I'm one of the few that. I mean, again, he confessed. He went to jail. It was sort of open shut. So it's no level of. Where the majority of the cases, I've had to listen to so many men, that like the abuse took place in the 70s or the early
Right.
80s, so like, just.
I mean, there was the documentary.
Yeah, well, I'm in the documentary on Netflix.
You are?
Yeah.
Wait, when did that come out? I watched it.
About, there's a couple documentaries, but I'm in the Netflix one that came out about 5 months ago or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to go back and find it.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're in Enterprise, and we drive to nowhere. There's these two redneck towns, Geneva and Hartford. We drive to Hartford. We go down this dirt road, and here's this like camp out, big rainbow, and we go in, and it's a beautiful day. It was Saturday. Sunny, and you first get there and there's like this big Winnebago with like a bar set up in front of it, and that's like the check-in. So this dude's like, hey,
Right.
can I help you guys? And I was like, well, I actually grew up not far from here. I live in New York. I was going to talk to you about maybe bringing a comedy show here. I just kind of wanted to see what all Live Nude was about. And it's like, sure, just give me a sec. I'm just going to check this guy in, and then I'll give you all a tour. And the guy's like, no, I'm good. And so the creek is that way. Yeah, the creek is down. Now it's a sex creek, so y'all can go on down there. And it was like this. It was like if Dollywood would have put sort of a gay nudist colony in the middle of the park, it felt like a cross between a Cracker Barrel and a bathhouse.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was mind blowing.
You're writing about this, right?
Well, I'm talking about it right now.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's a logical.
It was
addition to
wild.
some of your material.
Yeah, but I did know, especially in the South, that like the gay campground scene
Yeah.
is sort of a scene,
Right.
because you can sort of be underground and
Right.
So I know there's a few in Georgia and Florida, but right there.
And is it like, do people actually like camp there?
Yeah, so they had it was nice.
Yeah. Did you camp there?
We did not. We may go back.
Yeah.
And he said I could bring a comedy show. Now, I can't pay y'all, but if you're here in town, sure, we get drag queens out here. Y'all can just come in, do a show. Now, he just redid the furniture in the clubhouse, so you got to have your clothes on in there because they're new couches. But anywhere else, you can
Right.
be naked.
Which is, I mean, that's important.
Yeah, there's a nice pool. It was
Wow.
wild. And we were sort of kicking around the idea of like, do we want to hang out for a while by the pool? I think it's like $25 for a day pass, and then $10. No, it's $25. You have to become a member.
Yeah.
So it's a yearly membership, and then $10 for a day pass. And again, it was a pretty day. It was pool. There were dudes sitting out there, and I was like, do you want to hang out by the pool for a while? And we just really didn't have the time on this trip. I was like, we'll
Right.
come back. But yeah, I would check it out. I mean, I've never done a clothing optional resort. I've never been a big nudity guy, so it would be breaking down some big.
Are you guys in an open relationship?
We're not, but it's interesting because I find that he likes that we're not in an open relationship, but he does sort of like sort of a sexually charged environment, maybe. I don't
Okay.
know. But also he's a camp guy. He grew up going to camp, and he's from the Pacific Northwest. So I think it was less about the nudity and more just about being in the woods.
All you had to say was Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, he's a little crunchy.
We love that. He's probably very smart. They're very smart up there.
He's very smart. He's
Yeah.
a very progressive family. I mean, he's got a.
Yeah.
I mean, his mother was in politics up there. His grandfather was in politics up there. He's got a non-binary adopted sibling, Asian sibling. I mean, they didn't miss a branch with.
Just, adjectives just keep coming.
So I don't remember how we got sidetracked.
How did we
with
get
the-
on the
I don't know. We
campground?
were talking
Oh,
about
Cowboy Carter.
right. So
Were they playing Cowboy Carter at the ranch?
No, they were not. But the point. But we did get to ride around in. That was the one good thing about being in Alabama was riding through just beautiful countryside, listening to this country-esque album. The Dolly cameo in the middle is
Yeah.
kind of wild.
And there's another Dolly cameo at the end.
Right, they've got the
Tyrant.
two. They've got
Tyrant's
the
one of my
two.
favorite songs in the album.
I like the Miley Cyrus duet.
Yeah.
I like 18 Carriages.
16.
16 Carriages, whatever.
Yeah. You added 2.
I like, again, it's nothing will ever be Renaissance, but I like
Right.
the album.
Right. No, I like it. I loved, I fell in love with Renaissance and with the touring, with the experience. My favorite song on the album, it's my most played song on Spotify right now, and I'm blanking on the name. What's the Sheryl Crow type song? Bodyguard.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I love hearing it because there's so many songs on the album.
Yeah.
I love hearing everybody's sort of take on it and opinion on it. I mean, it's definitely, as far as art goes, people are talking. Bobby Hankinson is another one who's a huge
Your
Beyonce.
best friend?
He's my comedy bestie. He's another huge Beyonce fan, and he's got one of my favorite quotes about Beyonce. He says he doesn't believe anybody else is creating art at the magnitude that she is. I mean, sort of on the scale that she is, with really taking risk and really trying different things, but maintaining such an enormous audience.
Yeah. Oh, no, I would agree. Because she, I'm not going to compare her to anyone. But, her tour, it was just all so conceptual and so, every single detail. And being
Fucking
there,
fans on the
I was
robot
about to say,
heads, like
but like also the fans that are there for her hair, like one of them wouldn't start, so they had to work on it for like 10 minutes for it to start.
somebody lost their job that day because
right.
Beyonce's hair fan didn't go up.
Right. But they're every 2 feet on this huge stage. I would agree with Bobby there, definitely. I think
What's your favorite Beyonce album?
B-Day.
Okay.
Because I'm like a 1998 through 2004 bitch. And B-Day was 06, but I love like Beyonce with the horns, like Crazy in Love. But that album had a lot of great, like just bangers. So it had like Green Light, Freakum Dress. Those are my 2 favorites. But Deja Vu, right? Get Me Bodied, which is one of her all-time best. And that was so fun. And that was when, and then she made like a video for every song on the album, like a year after it was released, and which was new for her then. Now she does that with that with every album until this one. And she also then re-released it with a song with Shakira, which Straight Me was like, this is the hottest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Oh yeah, Straight Me loved that, but it was really Gay Me who loved it.
You have your own show now as well.
Yes.
At Stonewall.
Yes.
And that's monthly?
Chaotic. Yes. The fourth Thursday of every month, except for June. I forget the exact date in June.
Oh, because of Pride?
Yeah, they're busy. They're very busy for Pride.
Well, June's funny because all the comedy clubs now, it did not used to be this way, but now they want everybody to do a Pride show during June. And like that's the worst time to try to do a gay show because the gays are out doing gallivanting and doing prideful things.
Right. Well, and like it's already June, so the gays and the straights, because so much of like Pride nights at straight venues is for straight people.
So your next show, Chaotic, is at Stonewall on what date?
On my birthday, April 25th.
April 25th. I'm on that show, right?
And Drew is on it.
I'm on the birthday show. Amazing,
yes,
amazing.
Of course.
Plug your social media.
Yes. So my social media is Jack Sullivan Comedy on Instagram, on TikTok. I deleted X a while ago.
Okay.
But do the comics still use that?
I don't know, but that's been several interviews I've done recently. Comics have said I don't use X anymore, so I never have.
I only use it for porn.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that is not under my name. I've got my separate.
Yeah, I don't even have it. It's like user for say
Yeah, of course.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yes, my socials are Jack
For watching
Sullivan.
porn, not doing porn, by the way.
Right. Right. No, never. Oh God, I could never. I just take my clothes off a lot for the attention. But Jack Sullivan comedy, Instagram, TikTok, monthly show, chaotic, half gays, half straights, but and a great balance of different ethnicities, perspectives.
Who else is on the lineup coming up the end of this month?
So Gilberto Soto, who you
Yep.
mentioned, is going to host.
Oh, fun.
Austin Boykin.
Yep.
My comedy bestie, Drew, Max Fine, who's the leader of
I love Max Fine.
Yeah, Max Fine is the leader of this group of straights in the comedy scene.
Yeah, I
that
love
I really
Max
want
Fine.
to,
Yeah.
I want them to like me.
He's sweet. The Max Fine from San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the
Yeah.
Because there are two Max Fines in the
really?
straight comedy world. There are.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Natasha Price, and I do Gotham with her a lot. And I don't know if you've ever crossed paths with her, but she's amazing.
Okay.
She's amazing. She was on the staff for Conan,
Oh wow.
for the TBS Conan, for a long time.
Well, if not, I'll meet her at your show.
Yeah. Oh, she's one of the sweet. She made me a pillow with some of my jokes on it, like just as a surprise.
Fabulous.
And then we have Gus
Constantine
headlining. Yes. So he's, my famous bitch
Yeah.
for this one. And Vanessa Jackson.
SNL writer. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
great lineup. Cool.
Okay, well, I'm just in my head, if I'm forgetting someone, that would be bad. I don't think I am.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that's right.
So fourth Thursday of every month, his show. I have a show every Wednesday at Greenwich Village Comedy Club
At 7:30.
At 7:30. Come out and see it. Save, like, subscribe, post, whatever you're supposed to do with social media. Thank you so much, y'all. Have a great night.
Yes, love you guys.
It's Drew Tessier's mostly queer comedy show. Let's talk, y'all.